I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Ha-Rakah Quadash. I want to give double honors to the elders of Great Millstone, the elder apostles of Great Millstone. And I want to give acknowledgement to all of the brothers out there pushing this truth with sincerity. Alright, so I'm going to start off in Job 9:24. It says, "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?" Alright, just so we know, the wicked is dealing with Esau, Edom, who is the so-called white man, who actually, he did this. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. Starting out with the very first judge, who is Yahushai, okay? Who the earth and the people of the earth ignorantly call Jesus. Okay? So, just to prove this, I'm going to go to the book of Maccabees, and we're going to go 3:48. This is talking about when the Greeks took over in Jerusalem and they started defiling and profaning the temples, in Jerusalem, right after 70 AD. It says, the heathen, 1 Maccabees 3:48, "and laid open the book of the law," which is the Bible, "wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images." Okay, because during the Renaissance, when the white man, started to rule, they started to paint over the images of Yahushai, the so-called black man, the Messiah. They had images in Europe, which now as Europe, where, Yahushai was depicted as a so-called black man. And just to further prove the point, let's see. I'm going to Google images of Jesus Christ. Oh, there you go. This is the new image that when the heathen began to rule, they started changing and covering the faces of the judges, starting out with our Savior. They made him look like a white man, and they preached this across the entire world. Okay? During the Renaissance time period. So there's that proof. There's Jesus Christ. And then I'm going to click on images of Yahushai. So I want to make this clear. We don't worship this image, but this is a closer depiction of what the Bible actually describes Yahushai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. This is how he's described. With woolly hair and dark skin, like brass burned into a furnace. Okay? So, that's how we know in Job 9:24 what it's talking about. Okay? Because what did it say? It said that the wicked covers the faces of the judges. And the first judge was Yahushai, because he was judging in righteousness. Alright? The rest of the judges are the elect men of Israel. So-called black, so-called Native American, and so-called Hispanic men who are the tribes of Israel. They make up the tribes of Israel. Okay? So, I'm going to go into Wisdom of Solomon. We'll go chapter 3, verse 1. It says, "But the souls of the righteous are in the hand of Yahweh, and there shall no torment touch them. In the sight of the unwise they seem to die, and their departure is taken for misery, and their going from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace. For though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality. And having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded. For Yahweh proved them and found them worthy for himself. So even though we go through some shit on this earth right now, us elect, we're being chastised for this testimony of the Bible, of Yahweh Shai. And this is just a little chastisement compared to the reward that we're going to get. It says on verse 6, as gold in the furnace hath he tried them, and received them as a burnt offering. And in the time of their visitation they shall shine and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble. Alright, and this is actually, I'm going to, just because this came to mind, if I can remember this precept. Well, let's go back to that real quick, and then I'll bring out this precept. But this is the Spirit working. It says in verse 8, they shall judge the nations and have dominion over the people, and their Lord shall reign forever. And that Lord is Yahweh Shai. Okay? They that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. For grace and mercy is to his saints, and he hath care for his elect. So that's who it's speaking of, the elect. Those are the judges. And that's how you know there's more than one judge. In verse 8 it says they shall judge the nations. And really quick, I'm going to go to precept for this verse 7 that says, in the time of their visitation they shall shine and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble. And I'm going to try and remember where this is at. Let's see. Let me see. It's not that one. Let me see. Maybe it's a 2. Trying to find this. It's dealing with the chariots. I thought it was in Nahum, and yeah. I can't even find it here. Okay, here we go. Here it is. I knew it was in Nahum. It was chapter 2. It says in Nahum 2 and 4, the chariots shall rage in the streets, they shall jostle one against another in the broad ways. They shall seem like torches, they shall run like the lightnings. Okay? And what we just got out of Wisdom of Solomon, it's like the stubble, it said over here in Wisdom of Solomon. It says, let me find that verse. Where was it? Okay, 7. In the time of their visitation they shall shine and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble. And it's talking about the elect men, and they're going to be on them chariots, and they're going to be, have spiritual powers, superpowers, if you will, where they're going to be able to move like lightning and sparks among the stubble. But anyway, that's not what this lesson was originally about. But in the day of destruction, the day of Yahweh's wrath, it's going to be a day of great destruction. Alright, and what these heathen can't seem to understand is just what type of destruction and what are going to be the instruments of destruction. but it's going to be the chariots, which are the so-called UFOs. You're going to have Leviathan is going to come about, which is he's a dragon, like Godzilla, The heathen knows about all this. That's why they put all this stuff in the movies, They got the movie Men in Black that deals with the chariots, but they deceive you by saying it's aliens on those chariots when it's actually the angels of Yahweh. And since I brought that up, I might as well go to a precept on that. Because we always have to prove everything we say with the word. Here's Psalms 104:3. It's talking about Yahweh. Think of a beam out of a chariot, okay? It says, who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind, who maketh his angels spirits, his ministers a flaming fire. All right? So, Yahweh can, these so-called UFOs, a lot of times people will see them, they look as a strange cloud in the sky, and when in fact they are actually the chariots. They take on many forms because they have that capability to take on whatever form they so well please. But one of the forms they do take on are clouds. Alright? So they'll appear as a cloud in the street or in the sky, but it's actually a chariot. So I'm going to go back to the topic I actually wanted to talk about, was showing you that the wicked we know is Esau Edom, the so-called white man. Alright? And I want to go to this verse here in Isaiah. And it's going to be 54 and verse 16. And it says, it's towards the bottom, 54:16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. Okay, and so the smith actually goes back to a blacksmith who created weapons in the ancient times. Okay, but these days, in these modern times, your modern day blacksmith is the scientist who is actually the smith, the modern day smith, the modern day blacksmith. Alright, and what does he create? He created, let me bring this out again, the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. So that waster he's created is going to be a nuclear bomb, a nuclear missile. All right, that's what's going to waste this world away, are those bombs, those nuclear missiles, is what's going to make Babylon America burn and melt with fervent heat. All right, so and just to prove, the word smith, we're dealing with the wicked right here, because that's who Yahweh has given that technology to. Because let's go back to Genesis 27 and 40. And this is talking about Esau. This is when Yahweh, well actually it was Isaac, gave Esau his blessing, which is the sword, which is war. That means war. Alright. It says, and by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of the mourning for my father are at hand, then I will slay my brother Jacob. So we know this is dealing with Esau and Jacob, and Esau had just missed out on his blessing because Jacob took his blessing, and so Isaac had to give him his blessing as the sword. So he gave him, that was his blessing. That's what the white man has been, the so-called white man has been blessed with, the sword. And he's he's actually living by that sword, because he conquers with the sword. He goes and pushes his democracies and his policies on wherever he feels like it. So the sword is actually war. No man can war with the beast, right? It says that in Revelation. The beast is Esau in his system, okay? And the sword is his blessing. So he's living by that blessing. I'm gonna go back to, and that's how we know that the smith is his. That's who it is. We know who it's talking about. So let me go back to Isaiah really quick. 54:16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth in the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. Alright, so it's no coincidence that when we go to Google here, and I looked it up earlier, so what is the most popular surname in America? What is the first name that pops up? Smith. Alright, because the word smith, if we go to the definition, smith name meaning, it says history and culture derived from the Anglo-Saxon smitan, meaning to smite or to strike, right? And so what does those blacksmiths do? It even says that in this definition. Smith and its derivations are an occupational name for a man who works with metal, smith or blacksmith, one of the earliest jobs for which specialist skills were required. So it's no coincidence that the most prominent and popular surname or last name in this country is Smith, okay? Because that's his blessing, the so-called white man. War, the sword, okay? The waster is what he makes. And then let's go back to the scripts. I'm going to go to Isaiah 14:16. It says, they that see shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory. Everyone is in his own house. But see, they're talking about Esau. This is talking about, this is actually talking about Esau, all this chapter. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? How do they weaken the nations? Because they're having everybody believe in Jesus Christ. That weakens a nation. That weakens, in particular, the nation of Israel. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahweh. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. And that's spiritual, because we're on the eve of their independence, 4th of July. And right as I read this, how they're ascending, into heaven and exalting their throne above the stars of Yahweh, like it says in 13, I start hearing fireworks go off. All right, right on cue. Right as I'm talking about Esau, and what's he doing? Celebrating his nation, celebrating his independence. All right. It says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell in the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? How does he shake kingdoms? With his waster. We just brought it out earlier. His nuclear fire, his nuclear missile. Those are going to shake the earth, shake kingdoms with those nuclear power. All right, I'm going to go to Isaiah 14, and they're right on cue. They're lighting off their fireworks right now. Esau is. Okay. Rejoice not thou, whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. So that's Esau's fruit, is a fiery flying serpent, also known as a nuclear powered missile. Alright? And since we're on the subject of the 4th of July, look at what Trump, showing you we're in a time of war. Trump has declared that for his 4th of July parade, he wants the airplanes to cover the sky, the jets, the fighter jets. He wants the tanks in the street for his parade. Showing you that we're in a time of war. And he's showing, you don't think the other nations like Russia, North Korea, all of these nations that are going to make Babylon desolate and naked, like it says in Revelation, you don't think they see those, they're going to see that parade with him flexing and showing his might, his military might. And so, people might think this Bible is not true because I talked to an Israelite that was saying, he said, oh, wars have been happening forever. Rumors of wars. He's like, he just doubts the truth. He don't believe the end's coming, right? And let's just bring that out real quick. Psalm 49 and 11. It says here, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own name. So they believe that this America is going to continue forever. They don't want to come out of Esau's kingdom. Just like in Egypt, they didn't want to come out. They wanted to go back to Egypt when Israel was delivered out of Egypt. They wanted to go back, just like these heathen now. And if you're a two-third person, two-third nigga, you're gonna be just like those two-third niggas that wanted to go back to Egypt, right? So they literally want to be. They love this captivity they're in. Matter of fact, they're celebrating 4th of July with them tomorrow, and starting tonight. You can hear their fireworks going off. So just because it hasn't happened yet, don't lose your faith. This destruction is coming, and we're in the midst of war very soon. Donald Trump, he wants to go to war because he's arrogant and he wants to shake kingdoms, and he's gonna go and call himself a Christian. First of all, you got to be an Israelite to be a Christian. 2 Peter, and we're gonna go to 3 and verse. My bad. 2 Peter 3 and verse 8. And here it goes. Actually, let's read starting at, let's see. Yeah, let's just read this whole thing. Starting at 2. Let's go to 1. This second epistle, beloved, I now write unto you, in both which I stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance. We're coming into remembrance of everything now. We know what's up. We know who we are. We know that the white man is the devil, the so-called white man. We know he's going to start war soon. And we know his kingdom is going to be destroyed. That ye may be mindful of the words which were spoken before by the holy prophets, and of the commandment of the apostles of the Lord and Savior, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers walking after their own lusts. And you see that all the time. People doing their own thing. They don't follow the Bible at all. And saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of creation. And our fathers, which, our forefathers, they fell asleep to this truth. They even forgot who they were. They forgot they were Israelites. For this they are ignorant of, that by the word of Yahweh the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. Speaking of the first death, the flood, with Noah. But the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. Which the fire is that balance, right? Yahweh destroys first with water, the flood. Now he's going to destroy by fire. And that fire is going to be started by that waster, that nuclear thermal fire. All right. And perdition means the destruction of ungodly men. And all of those Edomites that are going to be involved in this nuclear World War III are ungodly. And they're sons of destruction, son of perdition. You can read about that in 2 Thessalonians. Verse 8, but beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with Yahweh as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long-suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. But the day of Yahweh will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise. And what is that great noise? The great noise is those missiles. Boom! You just hear Esau with his fireworks. It's going to be much, much more greater noise than the fireworks. And the elements shall melt with fervent heat. What's going to make the elements melt? It's going to be those missiles, man. The earth also and the works that therein shall be burned up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, the elements in the earth is going to dissolve, man. What manner of persons ought ye be in the all holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of Yahweh, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. And we already know what it is, man. It's those missiles. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for the new heavens, the new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness. Okay, and wherefore, beloved, seeing that ye look for such things, be diligent, that ye may be found of him in peace, without spot and blameless. And the account that long suffering of our Lord is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul, also according to the wisdom given unto him, hath written unto you. As also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood. Why are these hard to be understood? Because the disciples, the apostles, Yahushai, spoke in parables and wrote this Bible in a parable. That's why it's hard to be understood. Which they that are unlearned and unstable wrest, as they do also of the other scripture, unto their own destruction. You're going to be destroyed because you can't get the understanding of this Bible. But not the elect. We understand these parables. That's why we're doing these teachings. That's why we're on the internet putting out these videos. That's why we're on the streets preaching, because we're putting in the work. Because we know what the prize is at the end. And we know that our salvation is going to be, it's going to be those chariots saving us from nuclear destruction. Let me see if I could find that verse that talks about the strangeness of their salvation. Oh man, I thought maybe I could just go right to it, but no, let me see. I can't find it. But there's a verse in the Apocrypha that talks about everyone's going to be surprised at the strangeness of our salvation, and it's going to be so much different than what they had expected. I'm paraphrasing. But with that being said, I want to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Ha-Rakah Kodash. All praises and glory unto Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahushai Ba'Hashem, Ha-Rakah Kodash, and double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone. And I want to acknowledge all of the brothers in this truth pushing it in sincerity. Shalom to the elect.